Hello, my name is Gino Barbaro, one of the co-founders of Jake and Gino and the creator of the Baby Money Soldiers concept. Now, in this week's show, we're going to be discussing myths, baby money soldier myths on wealth creation. There are so many things that we've been taught about money that just ain't so, as Mark Twain would say. Just consider this. 95% of the population, when they reach the age of 65, are not financially free. They need some type of assistance, whether it's Social Security or elsewhere, to be able to fund. They can't retire. So to me, looking at that, I'm saying to myself, well, what have we been taught? We've been taught to get our money, save it, put it into a 401k, and then pray that we have enough money saved by the time we retire. Well, that strategy is really not working for the vast majority of Americans. Let's go over 5 myths that we have here. Maybe I'll put a couple more in there, but some really huge myths that I think we've been taught. And that, to me, they really hold us back. And this very first one, I really believed this when I was younger. The more money that I made, the easier it would be to become financially free. And that just is not true. I mean, how many of you out there know people that are making 7 figures, people that are making $500,000 a year? They're nowhere near being financially free. They're nowhere near being able to create any kind of passive income. The problem is with our consumerism society, we tend to make a certain amount of money. You can live at, let's say, for instance, at $100,000. You're okay living at $100,000. All of a sudden, you get a bump in salary to $150,000. What you should do is continue to try to live on the $100,000, and that additional bump, you should really pull it, save it aside, or to invest, or put it towards savings, or just put it aside. But instead, what most of us do is we think that we deserve to be able to spend that additional money. It's called the Parkinson's Law. As you start earning more money, your lifestyle starts to grow. It's called the lifestyle creep. That's what Jake and I call it. And just because you earn more money, it has nothing to do in correlation with becoming financially free, to be able to earn more passive income than your expenses, because your income that you're generating, the more, is just being eaten up by luxuries. So understand, it's not how much money you make, it's how much actually you keep, number one, and how much you're able to save and to redeploy. Now, the second one, this one I was really struggling when I owned my restaurant. And my mom would always tell me, hey, you're okay. Let's not take too much risk. Let's not, invest our money in real estate. That's too risky to save money. It's too risky to invest my money into an asset. Now, I think of that for a second. People think it's risky to invest. And for a lot of them, it is. But have they actually gone out and learned how to do the business? I would challenge it and say, I think it's too risky to be in a W-2 job, or I think it's too risky to have a small business like I did with the restaurant. I had a restaurant for over 20 years. When I left in 2016, I went into the real estate full time. If I had stayed, what happened in 2020? COVID hit and everything got shut down. So was it risky to invest in real estate, or was it risky to have a small business? Well, in my case, it was really risky to have that one business, to have the one stream of revenue coming in. I didn't have any other streams of revenue coming in until I started investing in real estate. So don't listen to people that are telling you it's too risky to invest in other areas. Those same people, once you've tasted success and you have a couple of deals, are going to come back to you and ask you, can I invest with you? Always remember that. Now, this third one, number 3, all debt is bad. For some people, all debt may be bad if they don't understand the difference between personal debt and business debt. Now, we're taught that when we buy a home, hey, you know what? There's certain gurus out there that say, pay your home off, don't have any debt or any mortgage on your home. That may work for some people. Actually, at a certain level, you may want to achieve that. And that's what I've done. For the majority of my life, I always had a smaller mortgage on my home. I didn't want to lever my personal life. I've levered my business life. I've got a lot of debt on my multifamilies. That debt is producing cash flow in those buildings. That's funding my lifestyle. I've never had debt on cars. I've never had debt on credit cards, any of that. I've paid that off right away. Understanding the difference between those two will really help you to be able to create what we say, create legacy wealth, create real wealth, understand the difference. And, I challenge people out there, no size fits everybody. Some people are going to be comfortable with having debt on their home. Some people aren't. It's really a personal preference. But what I would say to you is the dollar that you take out today in debt through inflation, that dollar is going to devalue. And 5 years from now, you're paying that dollar off with cheaper dollars. So that's why it's important to understand when you're taking out debt years from now, you're paying it back with cheaper dollars. But just understand that all debt isn't bad. Understand the difference between bad debt, which is, personal debt, and good debt, which is business debt. This next one really, to me, I think holds most of us back from wanting to invest. You need to have a lot of baby money soldiers to start investing. I mean, a lot. Well, what does that mean, a lot? We all start out in life with doing small things. You don't go to college on day one and have a 4-year degree. You start out semester 1, class 1. That first journey starts with the first step. And it's the same thing with investing. I remember the first time I bought a stock back in the early 90s. I was in college. I didn't buy thousands of shares. I bought a couple shares. But I remember selling it and making that money. And I only made a few bucks, a couple $100 profit. But to me, it just sparked an interest. Don't wait till you have thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to start investing. My son, for instance, when he was 16 years old, he had $5,000 in his checking account and he wanted to go out and buy an amplifier. I said, Mike, you already have 2 amps. How much does this amp cost? Dad, it's not expensive. It's $1,500. I said, Mike, but your net worth is $5,000. You're going to be spending, 25% to 30% of your net worth on an amplifier that you don't need? Yeah, but Dad, what am I going to do with the money? The money's sitting there. It's not a lot of money. I said, Mike, it is a lot of money, in fact. And hold it there. Wait till we find a deal. And then when we find a deal, you can put that $5,000 into a deal. Now, this was several years ago, 5 or 6 years ago. Now, to date, he put the $5,000 in. He never bought the amplifier. That $5,000 investment, that small investment, has grown to over mid-6-figure net worth. And how did that happen? Well, we bought an amazing deal. We refinanced the deal. He pulled money out, redeployed his baby money soldiers into another deal. That deal refinanced out, pulled more money out, bought another deal. From that very small investment, in over 5 years, he's 100x'd it. It's just been phenomenal to see that. This next one, an estate plan is only for the rich. And I challenge you out there, 2/3 of the population in this country does not have an estate plan. And if you don't have an estate plan, guess what? You do have an estate plan. It's just the state's plan for you. And this doesn't mean you need trusts and irrevocable trusts and all this, high level stuff. I mean, I'm setting them up right now as we speak. What you should at least do, look at your situation. If you're married, if you have kids, you need at least a last will and testament. You want to be able to make sure, where do your kids go? I mean, are your kids going to be left in the dust? Do you have somebody to take care of them if something should happen to you? Do you have a healthcare proxy? Do you have a power of attorney? Start setting that up. Start looking at that. At the very least, that's what you need to be doing, to be setting up for your estate, for something happens. And I think for those of you out there who are really super high level, and most of the Jake and Gino community is, we're always discussing and talking about long-termism and really being able to control our lives. And that only doesn't mean now. It means when we're not here any longer. Let's set up our estate for our future heirs. Let's be able to direct it. That's what we talk about when we talk about creating legacy wealth. It always starts with starting today and planning for the future and leaving our family in a better situation than they are right now. So don't look at estate planning as only for the rich. It is for everybody. Now, this last one is really, really important. And it ties in with the very first one. I deserve luxuries because I work so hard. That may be the case. We all deserve to enjoy ourselves at times, but we need to limit how much we consume. I love MJ DeMarco. Go to the Jake and Gino channel. He's been on our podcast twice. He discusses being a producer versus being a consumer. Let's focus on producing. Let's focus on creating value. Once you create value, that in effect creates money. And then after you create money, what ends up happening is you can consume. So focus on producing And then at the very end, you can start consuming what you've produced. Most of us do this backwards. We consume, consume, consume. There's nothing left for us to be focused on producing. And that's why we'll never become financially free. It's important to understand that. Yeah, enjoy your luxuries. Do you have to go on that $10,000 vacation when you're making $50,000 a year? Probably not. Put that off. Defer that. Take those baby money soldiers and invest them into an asset that will be able to pay for that event. Now, go back and listen to this again. I challenge you. And these myths, they're being spread by others who don't want to see you become financially free. It's that simple. If you are not financially free, if you're out there and you're creating value and you're producing and you're not dependent on anyone, especially the government, that's not good for them. They want to hold us in bondage. That's what I personally feel. I personally feel that they want to keep the population down. They want the population to be dependent upon them. And how do they do that? By spreading these myths. Now, what I'd love for you to do, two things. First thing, go to jakeandgino.com/webinar. Sign up for our webinars, monthly webinars on how to learn how to invest in multifamily. And if you want the book, jakeandgino.com, just email me, gino@jakeandgino.com, and I will forward you over a PDF copy of Wheelbarrow Profits. And finally, down below in the comments section, I'd love for you to write a couple of myths that you've been living through or that you've heard, or even more, that you used to once believe and now you've crushed that myth. And you're saying to yourself, can't believe I believe that. That's what growth is all about. Believing something, challenging that belief, and then going right through that belief. Listen, all these myths that I've shared with you, at one point in my life, I believed every single one of them. And now since personal growth, personal development, partnering with Jake, I've been able to shatter those limiting beliefs and continue to grow and always strive to become financially free and to try to opt out of all of these systems. Listen, I want to really thank you for spending part of your day with us, with Jake and Gino. And I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next Baby Money Soldiers show. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to like and subscribe so you'll never miss another episode.